My wife asked for a divorce the day my bank balance hit $2,147. It wasn't T because I was bad in bed or because we didn't love each other. We were both in our 30s, living under the same roof. Yet somehow waiting for the same slow motion failure. I worked my ass off every month, overtime, side gigs, swallowing my pride. But the money coming in disappeared into a hole that could never be filled. Rent, car payments, insurance, minimum credit card payments. The bills always knew payday was coming before I did. Then she started asking the dangerous questions. What if you lose your job tomorrow? How long could we survive? I pretended not to hear it, because the answer would make me look like a joke. That night I heard her on the phone in the bathroom, voice quiet but sharper than any scream. She was looking for security, just not from me. It is not that I didn't work hard. I just never thought to save enough money to give myself options. Not to get rich, not to turn everything around, just enough so that if everything went sideways tomorrow, I wouldn't collapse instantly. Later, I realized that for ordinary people like us, the true milestone in life isn't a promotion. It is not marriage. It is the day you save your first six-figure sum on your own. If you can even hold on to $10,000 right now, and you think $100,000 will magically appear someday, that is just a comforting lie you tell yourself. So we slowed down and did what most people skip. The math, start with an emergency buffer, not theory, not gut feeling. The number of months you could actually survive. If your monthly spending is $4,000, 3 months is $12,000, 6 months is $24,000. If your household spends $6,000 a month, the low end is $18,000. The high end for safety is $36,000. This money isn't laziness. It is a shock absorber. It determines whether a bad month is manageable or forces a liquidation. Because emergencies in fantasy happen in a calm market, real life is cruel. A layoff notice won't come when your portfolio is up and confidence is high. It comes when cracks are already everywhere. If you lose income while the market drops 35%, the numbers get brutal fast. The $20,000 you thought you could sell anytime might be worth only $13,000 when forced to liquidate. Same emergency, less cash, worse timing, maximum stress. That is why cash and investment funds aren't interchangeable, no matter how sophisticated people sound online. And it doesn't mean stuffing money into a checking account that earns almost nothing. The difference is too big to ignore. Put $10,000 in a traditional savings account. It earns maybe $20 a year. Put the same $10,000 in a high-yield savings account. At 4.5%, you get $450. Same money, same liquidity, same safety. One path barely touches anything. The other quietly covers a few months of bills, or actually reduces your cost of living. At 4 to 5% interest rates, pretending cash earns nothing is outdated thinking. Now, let's talk debt. This is where philosophy ends and reality hits. If you are carrying 21% interest credit card debt, while expecting 10% from the market, that is not ambition, it is a confident negative spread. You are trading a guaranteed 21% drag for a maybe 10% return. Even ignoring taxes, volatility, or timing, the math is already upside down. At 24%, it is worse. Ordinary investors can get guaranteed 18 to 24% returns, but paying down high-interest debt achieves it immediately. For sure, without charts, mentors, or optimism, from a cash flow perspective, every month the debt exists. It siphons off your income first. It taxes your future before you can use it. You can call yourself an investor, but if high-interest debt remains, part of your paycheck is working for creditors, not you. That is the hidden insult. People focus on the balance in their brokerage app, but ignore what is automatically deducted at the bottom line. That is why two people can both have $100,000, yet live in completely different financial realities. One has the money but no emergency reserve, unstable income, 21% credit card debt. The other has 6 months' expenses in cash. No high-interest debt, plus $100,000. On paper, the numbers might look similar temporarily, but in reality one is standing on thin ice, the other on concrete. The problem is, the wrong move can feel efficient. Clicking buy feels smart, paying down debt feels boring. Putting money in high-yield savings for weeks feels like procrastination. But feelings are terrible auditors. If the foundation is weak, speed just makes mistakes happen faster. So before any dramatic investment, run your money through an unflashy filter. How many months could you survive without income? Is that money liquid enough? Is it safely earning 4 to 5% instead of 0.2%? Are you still paying 21% on credit cards while fantasizing about uncertain market returns? Write down these numbers. The emotional fog dissipates fast. This is the uncomfortable truth of that $100,000 milestone. After $100,000, the smartest move might look like doing nothing, but it is highly calculated. Separate operating cash from long-term capital. Eliminate guaranteed losses. Then chase potential gains, ensuring a bad quarter doesn't wipe out years of discipline. If you've told yourself, I can invest while keeping debt because I don't want to miss the upside, be honest. Is that math or panic dressed up as strategy? No one likes to say this out loud. Once you reach six figures, the game isn't about smart versus ignorant. It is about who owns productive assets versus who works to fund someone else's return. It sounds abstract, but you see it in everyday life. One person earns a paycheck, pays rent or mortgage, living expenses, insurance, kids, car, student loans, leaves cash untouched for fear of mistakes. Another earns less, plays less drama, but steadily puts money into growth accounts, buys broad company stakes, lets time do the work. On paper, it might look similar temporarily, but in reality, they live in two completely different economies. This is the hierarchy. Most people are never taught. Bottom, selling time, hoping wages beat prices. Middle, saving but unprotected. Taxes, inflation, delays eat wealth. Top, understanding ownership isn't a personality trait. It is a system, account types, timing windows, fund choices. And whether your money participates in growth or just watches it, the system doesn't reward effort morally, it rewards position. Standing in the compounding capital stream, not holding a paycheck on the sidelines. That is where the hard work story starts to break. When someone says, I've worked too long. I don't want to just put it in an index fund. Listen closely. Surface pride, but maybe a misunderstanding of where wealth really comes from. That is why contribution limits matter emotionally and mathematically. Miss the 31st of December, and it is not just falling behind. It is giving up ownership that can be rebuilt. After $100,000, the question is, what would rich people do? How do I stay on the ownership side? Avoiding erosion from labor, taxes, fees, inflation, and ego. Ask that, and the hierarchy clarifies. Some build future cash flow rights, some unintentionally fund those rights. Some are caught in the middle, dazzled by complexity. Money is cold. The system doesn't care how sincere your effort is. It cares if your funds are compounding, capturing free returns. Using legal structures to reduce friction, and not turning adult finance into a thrill ride. Distinguishing savers from wealth builders, that is the point. When you imagine your $100,000, do you see freedom? Or immediately think about a flashy move to justify the number? That answer tells you which side you're on. If you have $100,000, but still let emotions decide the next step. You're not executing a plan, you're reacting to the weather. Weather changes weekly, a recession headline here, a record high there. A podcast telling you to wait for a pullback. Your nervous system treats it as danger. So the first useful action must be deliberately boring. Set an automatic transfer, one time, no negotiating with yourself. Don't want to transfer it all at once. Split into fixed portions, same day each month, same account. Ignore market swings, ignore family panic predictions. Key fear can't drive the wheel. If necessary, make the action embarrassingly small. Tonight, open your account, create the transfer, write it on your calendar. Call it first deployment, do not touch. Then close the app. This single automation is more important than 3 more hours of research. Research feels productive, but behavior hasn't changed. The system must withstand panic. Intent alone doesn't. Same principle applies to diversified investing. People often treat it as decoration, not protection. Owning many assets that can collapse together isn't diversification, it is chaos. Ask not, how many funds do I have, but how would these assets behave in different scenarios? Real estate comes in for a reason, leverage and partial inflation protection. $100,000, 20 to 25% down, controls 400 to 500,000 property. 4% annual growth equals 1/6 to 2,000 equity growth on 100,000. And that is not even counting the rent. Numbers excite, but excitement isn't the right emotion, friction is. Tenants call, repairs, paperwork, this is real life. International allocation matters too. The US is half the global stock market. The other half still exists. Practice, decide in advance what portion is overseas and leave it there long term. Boring execution, set allocation, automate, rebalance once a year, then live your life. Final mechanical defense. Any new fixed expense, delay 72 hours. Write down actual monthly cost, not dream price. Turn impulse into math. Protect your achieved threshold. not with perfect theory, but with automated transfers, understandable portfolios, fixed rebalancing dates. Screen off to avoid fear, check fees, pause between feeling and commitment. Most people want sexy strategies. What is really needed is a system that works on boring, stressful, slightly prideful days. Once funds reach this level, the real test isn't how much you know. It is whether you can stop yourself from doing unnecessary harm. If you could do one thing today, what would it be? Set the first automatic transfer, stop checking balances during downturns. Or write down the monthly cost of all the upgrades you secretly justify. The danger isn't poverty or chasing that first 6 figures. It is self-congratulation after seeing the number. I made it, I can relax. I deserve a better car, a better house, a bit more life. Then, the wealth engine quietly becomes a consumption engine. Log in, balance just over 100,000, chest flutters. Then ordinary decisions get dressed up as rewards. Old car suddenly feels inadequate. Apartment feels temporary. Vacations go from occasional to twice a year, becoming part of your identity. No explosions, no single catastrophic purchase. Life just gets smoother, nicer, more expensive. 5 years later, you wonder why the number barely moved. That is why real commitment isn't a fast, rich fantasy. It is ensuring you stay in the game long enough for time to work, protecting future participation from incremental lifestyle erosion, and leaving breathing room when plans hit bumps. Fixed costs are where compounding gets quietly stolen. One-off splurges are one thing. A higher baseline is another. It follows you every month, every raise. Every year you thought you were catching up. If you are at or approaching your first 100,000, the uncomfortable question is simple. Which expense in your life is pretending to be a reward, but is actually consuming freedom?